Good morning and welcome to the last Monday of the month of January edition of Inside Nigeria. My name is Winifred Bebo. I sure feels good to be hosting you today after a beautiful, restful weekend. With me in the studio, as you can see, is a public affairs analyst. He is
Dayo Omogun.
good. I just wanted to the viewers to hear it from your mouth.
Right.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to have you on the program.
Thank you too.
Yes, as usual on the program, we discuss front page headline news stories from select newspapers in the country. And of course, as usual, also in the program, we always flag up with Nigeria's most influential newspaper, Leadership. Before we lead on the Leadership's leading cover, tomorrow is Leadership's annual conference and awards.
Yeah, sure.
And of course, the keynote speaker, his advanced team is already
here.
in the country. Yes,
All right.
and this we are also expecting him today.
Well,
Yes.
I trust that leadership usually has you are good organizers, so we expect that a well-organized event will happen tomorrow, from beginning till the very end.
Oh yes, and
And we are expecting that it will be an event that will also take on issues,
Yes.
current issues in Nigeria. We expect that right
Oh,
now, Tinga
yes.
will be speaking to Nigerians
yes,
based on the experience they have had in Kenya and
Mm.
how we can also align ourselves and take
Yes.
advantage of people power.
yes. Thank you so much. And of course, the theme for the awards and conference is credible elections and economy in transition. It's taking place at the International Conference Center in Abuja and comes up at 10 a.m. Of course, some eminent personalities are going to be awarded
Yeah.
on that event taking place tomorrow. Well, that is that. Cover story today says legal fireworks. CSO SANS caution Atiku Tinubu against distractive campaigns. Legal fireworks. CSOs SANS caution Atiku Tinubu against distractive campaigns. The story is on page 4 of Leadership. It says, resort to personal attacks indicates they have nothing to offer. One candidate against heating up politics. Legal fireworks. CSO SANS caution Atiku Tinubu against distractive campaigns. Atiku is the presidential candidate of People's Democratic Party, while Tinubu is the presidential candidate of the ruling All Progressives Congress. The CSO SANS caution them against distractive campaigns. Say resort to personal attacks indicates they have nothing to offer. One candidates against heating up politics. This is about time.
Yeah, but if you ask me, I like the fact that they are.
They are hitting
they are
up politics.
No, not hitting on the quality that they are. I mean,
Fighting themselves. Okay.
How I wish that they could really fight themselves to the point where they will get themselves knocked out of
Disqualified.
the ring, and so that we can have a better election, an easier election. Yeah, our choices will be narrowed down.
Done. Thank you.
So for me, I think that the CSOs don't really have anything to bother about because it's part of it's diversionary. Like they said, it's distracting. It's diversionary. They know that they don't really have issues to talk about. They have not sat down. Some of them have not really done their homework. So even if you take them to task seriously on some of the issues, Nigerian issues, they may not really come out with any fresh perspective
Yes.
or any constructive perspective. And so they would rather engage in fisticuffs, in verbal fisticuffs like this.
However, but both camps have also been disclosing or confessing weighty allegations, and the judiciary and even our security agencies seem to be silent, as if hear nothing, hear no evil.
No, I don't think you can bring the judiciary in right now until the matter is brought before the judiciary.
Yes, okay.
They will not
There's
go
security
to the
now
street.
and
Maybe
our-
the security
and our anti-corruption agencies.
Exactly. Maybe those ones.
Yes.
Well, I do not know how it ought to the perfect setting, but I think that these allegations are weighty enough for some of them
Yes.
to step
So,
in
exactly.
and say, well, let's pull you in. But you see, if that happens, again, Nigerians are the same people who will shout and say, oh, they're about to destabilize the elections
Yes.
and so on and so forth. So most times a sitting government will not even want to do that, will not want to tow that path because it will look as if, you just want to create opportunity for some people. I mean, just look at the fact that there was no, fuel crisis plus the cash crisis last
Yes,
week,
really, so
the candidate was already singing about it and saying that he was being targeted. So imagine that the anti-corruption agencies swoop on them. It will be
actually. I think he had every
be some-
cause. I think weighing the whole thing scenario. I think he had every cause to raise the alarm because given the fact that he's from the ruling party and he feels that there is a cabal in his ruling party that are trying to frustrate him because a situation whereby the fuel crisis has lingered for so long, almost a year now.
See,
February will make it a year. So
I
if
think
it's that one would obviously turn the minds of Nigerians against him.
no. See, I think that he's the most unqualified person to even complain because this is his government. One, and two, if everybody is suffering it, why personalize it? Why now say it's targeted at you?
Yeah,
Why
targeted at
begin to
him.
say
Yeah,
that
actually,
whatever they do, no
actually,
matter
Dayo,
what they
I
put
think
in your way, you will win. I mean,
yes. No,
the
he
truth,
was
again-
he was personalizing it because you don't understand, like, because I've seen some reports, especially from a River columnist that said that actually there is a cabal in his ruling party.
that are not interested in his
Exactly,
that want to
candidature.
frustrate him.
Because he feels that this is our party. If they wanted to, they could have actually have curbed this fiscal city. It has lingered for too long.
Yes, I agree, but you cannot now begin to
That is the
personalize
statement
it.
he said. That is why he said he's targeted at
Yes, both the
they
fuel
want it-
and the cash
yes,
and the cash
yes, of course,
problem.
you know what the cash is also going
Exactly.
to have on
But
the
I
masses.
think that people
He
should
feels that
have
because my party have not curbed, have not moved to tackle this issue since. Obviously, they are doing it deliberately to thwart my chances. I think that was what he meant.
No, I see it in another light because you see, ordinarily, there are politicians in certain quarters who believe, and in many quarters who believe that the cash thing, the Naira redesign, is targeted at them primarily because the way it was going until this extension, it was going to limit very seriously the amount of cash that will be available for them to dispense, which is a major tool that politicians have always employed
to win election.
in winning
That's
their
what
election.
it said. Be that as it may, as we can see, if we remember in 2019, he is not, like he said, he has not been in government and he has not head position or anything.
Yes.
So we also know that most people that are keeping this money, old Naira notes, still are mostly those that have gotten it illegally. And be that as it may, we can also trace back to 2019 and that the AP's presidential candidate was alleged to have a bullion fund.
Exactly.
Where does a bullion fund emerge from?
Come from? No,
It's
but
from the banks, obviously. So he doesn't have the cash that he will now have at home. So I don't think, because it was when I had a guest and the guest explained that no, he didn't put his own thoughts very well out.
Exactly.
For instance, now we have the Guardian's linking story. It's the same thing I'm telling you. I just saw it now. New Naira news, fuel crisis compound Nigerians' woes. He feels that with this one, Nigerians,
a leader will speak on
so
behalf of
it's
the
going
people.
to affect him because it's his party that is in
No,
power.
a leader at all times should speak
I'm not
mostly
holding-
of. I know, you're not
brief
holding
for
brief.
him, but I just feel that
I
he
know
didn't
you're
bring
trying
his
to
thoughts
see
out.
his
Yes,
angle.
he didn't bring his
The
thoughts
point
out.
is, as a leader,
Clearly.
if you had put that thought out on behalf of the people,
Yes.
not
Earlier
always
on, not because
you
you
know,
are
not
now
even because you're not involved.
Yes, that,
And even
problem
recently,
with-
even that last week when he said it, if you had made the emphasis to be on the people are suffering unnecessarily,
Yes.
please can you take off some of this stress
Yes,
and all that?
put it
But
across that way.
if you had
Yes.
put it across that way, it would be a different
Yeah, he
thing.
put himself
But to
at the
make it
center.
exactly, he put himself at the center, just the way he did a Milocon. I mean,
Mm.
everything cannot, the whole world cannot revolve around him.
Oh yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree totally.
That's it. He
Yes.
needs to manage his utterances very well.
Yes, he didn't. He
You
didn't
know,
manage it
you know,
well.
somebody actually even alluded to that he has to be careful that whenever he goes to Abeokuta, that his
That's why he
handlers,
makes
that his handlers should watch him and mark him closely. That every time he's in Abeokuta, one goof, one gaff comes up.
he does.
That's where the
Because
Milocon
he
thing
just
was
didn't put his
delivered.
thought across clearly enough because just like what you said, it mustn't be all about you.
About
You
him.
just have spoken out about
But every
the
other
hardship
person.
Nigerians are facing under his own
See
party.
what leadership. Let me give you an example. You know that when junior staffs go on strike, for example, senior management staff will pretend as if they're not interested.
Yes.
They try to be the leaders, the management, but they know that it is not possible that these people will be attended to, and our own case will not be taken care of. Because it's not possible to now change the salary of a messenger and he begins to earn about the same thing as a middle level management. It cannot happen. So the moment their own is taken care of, even though they are carrying on as if they are not concerned, they don't want this to happen, you are disrupting our activities and all that. Deep down inside of them, they know that this fight is for all of us. So it would have been better for him to say Nigerians are under too much suffering.
Too much suffering.
Exactly, and the government should please do something about this. Extend the time of the cash. Will further compound the issues. Not always talking about himself. It shows you that that's the kind of leader that is
6 months down the line last year, one would have expected he would have spoken out
about some of these things.
This few.
Exactly.
Since February last year, Nigeria has been experiencing lingering fuel scarcity since February last year, and this February makes it exactly a year. Well, moving forward, talking about Nigerians' woes, the Guardian says new Naira notes fuel crisis compound Nigerians' woes. New Naira notes fuel crisis compound Nigerians' woes. That's the leading story on the Guardian. The Guardian says the rider old banknotes withdrawal extended to February 17 faces legal test. Reps reject CBN's extension, insist on Emefiele's arrest if he fails to show up. Currency swap deadline puts 100 trillion naira national output at risk, says CPPE. Emefiele, banks rake in 2.4 trillion naira, currency outside system down to 25%. Currency outside system down to 25%.
That's a huge achievement. I mean, if you have pulled in about 75%.
Yes.
I actually saw figures.
Yes, the bank's raking 2.4 trillion naira.
So I think that's a huge, even if it ends at this point, but of course it would then mean that they are not pushing. But I think it's a good.
Let me check. It says use call-up plan protest at CBN headquarters. CBN to monitor sanction banks holding new Naira notes. Security consultant calls for presidential task force against sabotage. So it's the same story on the Punch newspaper. The Punch says, and new Naira anger spreads over scarcity. Reps oppose CBN extension. Customers stranded. ATMs empty as worshippers dump old notes in churches. CBN deploys 30,000 super agents nationwide to boost cash swap program. Emefiele says 1.9 trillion naira old notes deposited, projects 900 billion naira before deadline. Okay, why Guardian says 1.9, why Punch? The Punch says 1.9 trillion naira old notes deposited. The Guardian says 2.4 trillion naira. There's about 3 trillion naira.
You are fine.
Okay, sorry.
You are fine.
Okay, 400 million. 400 billion, 400 billion differences in their reports. It's the same thing with the Guardian. The Guardian says CBN deploys 30,000 agents nationwide to boost cash swap as Buhari approves deadline extension. CBN deploys 30,000 agents nationwide to boost cash swap as Buhari approves deadline extension. Gives additional 10 days for return of old 200 naira, 500 naira, 1,000 naira. Emefiele says 1.9 trillion naira of old banknotes so far returned. Declares Apex Bank ready to exchange legitimately earned monies. Lawmakers divided as Elumelu backs extension. Doguwa reiterates threats to arrest Emefiele. Don't succumb to political pressure. Blackmail former Lagos Deputy Governor tells President. Analyst Lord extension. The paper is about this CBN extension.
See, I think that while the idea on its own, the idea of the Naira redesign in order to bring in, to mop up the excess liquidity, I think it's a very brilliant one.
Yes,
but the execution has been very sloppy.
It is.
It's I think that CBN thought that it was just going to go easy, just willy-nilly. They didn't carry out their oversight. They didn't. There's a gap between them and the commercial banks. That's where the problem is.
There's a wide gap, because if you
There's a
still
gap.
go to ATM, like this morning on my way before I got to the office, I wanted to use ATM.
Yeah.
It's still empty. It's not dispensing.
It's not
any
dispensing.
cash.
In actual fact, it got so bad that some of the POS business people had to pay for cash. Do you understand?
Yes.
They had to buy. So they now passed the cost to people who want to get cash by saying that for every 1,000 naira, you pay 100 naira. You can imagine. In actual fact, there are cases where it's higher than that. So for every 1,000, you lose probably 100 or 200. That's something. I mean, it's totally uncalled for. It was not managed properly. As far as I'm concerned, I believe with the CBN that the 100 days initially given was enough. But they should have started their oversight immediately.
But Emefiele insisted that banks were actually giving money. And there was also a report that most of these big men, Nigeria's big men,
hijacking. So that's where this oversight would have taken care of it. If they had done their oversight, if we give you 5 million, can we see the breakdown of the swap? If it's coming from just one source, then there's a problem. If a huge portion of it is coming from just a source, then the work is not being done. And then, so there are several ways by which this could have been monitored. And I hope that with the extension, CBN will take up its oversight work a lot more seriously, because that's what it is. Except if that is done, we might find ourselves in a situation where we will extend again. And even as at now, CBN has already walked into the trap of all the people, all the pressure, the politicians who from day one didn't quite like the idea. They seem to have walked into their trap. But again, if they can manage this period between now,
are not assuaged over the 10-day.
I don't see any reason to arrest Emefiele. I don't see any reason, because I mean he's doing his job. There's nowhere in the world where you can be comfortable to have so much cash flying around. It's inconvenient. I mean, we can look at it. Right now, the implementation is not correct, because again, you have a situation where people have been limited to collect 20,000 naira only per day.
Yes.
That's not fair, because even for people to buy food at home, they need more than 20,000. So are you saying that someone will have to collect 20,000 in 3 places or in 5 places, first of all, before you put it together to go to market to buy food? That's very inconvenient. That needs to be looked at. But the truth is that too much money in the system is what enables things like insecurity, because none of those bandits will allow transfers, because transfer means that you can follow the trail, and so that's the whole essence. You can still do whatsoever transactions, but we want to be able to follow the trail. Exactly. We want to have an audit trail. You want to know, okay, so when they paid the 1 billion into Winifred's account, she took 250 and paid to Tina's account. Tina took 100 million and brought it back to Winifred's account. Okay, all kinds of things happen, but you can easily trace it when it goes through the banking system. But when it is cash, that's what enables corruption. That's what enables corruption. Exactly. Right. You can't send bribe that is clearly bribe,
and of course it's
going
through
the banking system.
Kidnapping.
It will. Because nobody can bring you cash.
Exactly.
I mean, you can't get cash, and they're not going to agree that
they are going to be
should we transfer to you. So that's the thing. I think it's very laudable, but the implementation needs to be touched on.
Okay. Still on this Naira cash, there is a story, actually a development story on the Guardian newspaper. You know, the governor, let me keep you up, put you abreast. The governor, that is Ganduje, had actually written to President Muhammadu Buhari to share his official visit to the state because of security reasons.
Okay.
And he said that because of this cash swap program, and of course, eyes are red, maybe there's going to be security issues. But however, the Guardian reports today that Buhari petitions Ganduje security alert visits Kano today. Is it wise?
Well, the thing is that Ganduje is not, he may be chief security officer in the state by title, but I mean, the real security apparatus is under the president. And before they embark on any visits, they have an advanced party of security people, of plainclothes people who will frisk the entire area will ensure that the place
But
is
how many
safe.
people
And
are they going to be
Ganduje
able
doesn't
to
have that.
free with the teeming youths in and the teeming population of Kano State?
No, the truth is this, that I mean, government is powerful enough to protect the president. That's
Of
the
course,
truth.
no, nobody's doubting it.
So
But what about their actions now? You know, they could be somewhere, but we've seen some campaigns that these youths they'll be throwing stones or chanting.
That comes with the call. It comes with the assignment that has been done to even people who are not up to president, and it's done all over the world. I remember that one of the American presidents was also stoned that way during. So it's not unusual. It's for the president and his team to be properly protected and secured. You can't stop people from reacting. You don't beat a child and ask him not to cry. So it is expected. In fact, he has enjoyed too much goodwill, if you ask me. President Buhari has enjoyed, is one of the presidents in Nigeria that has enjoyed excessive goodwill. Because based on the suffering that's in the land, he would have gotten a whole lot more of those kind of things. Yes. But the truth is that whatever it is, he must not be touched. His life must be safe, it must be secure, and all that. I don't think that before they embarked on it, they would have gotten a security report that's favorable before that trumps whatever Ganduje is saying.
Thank you so much. Well, viewers, we are going on a break. When we come back, we still have so much to talk about. Don't go away. Stay tuned.
Inside Nigeria, keeping you informed on what matters.
Welcome back. In case you're just joining us, this is Inside Nigeria, where we discuss front-leading newspapers. Front-leading stories on some select newspapers. My name is Winifred Gbebo, and with me in the studio is a public affairs analyst, Dayo Omogun. Thank you so much, Dayo. It's always a pleasure to have you on the program. And the station is Leadership Television. We are looking at our sister publication. We are going to be discussing business. Turn around Nigeria's economy needs now. That is the National Economic Board of Economists. Turn around Nigeria's economy needs now. National Economic Board of Economists. This is the leading story on National Economy. It's a weekly business paper of Leadership Media Group. Now,
I believe that they would have listed some of the kind of turnaround.
They talked about power.
Okay.
It's the inadequate power supply is still an issue. Is a main issue, so to speak. And we have a lack of infrastructures, delays in the passage of legislative reforms. So many issues. He said Nigeria indeed has an uphill task to reverse the climate of decline and want and foster prosperity and growth in the economy. What is needed now? I'm asking you, I'm putting it to you. What is actually needed to turn around Nigeria's economy now? Because so much is at stake.
Yeah, like I said, I think I said it once sometime ago, that whoever takes over from this government has his work cut out. It's a whole lot of work. The person is going to be
I usually quote the governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, did say that the incoming president is not going to have it easy
at all.
For the past 3 years. He didn't even say 1 year.
There will almost be no time for
honeymoon. And Nigerians are going to be so impatient.
Exactly.
It's always like
Nigerians will be. From the pain of so many years, they'll just visit the anger and the frustration on the new government, and you can't blame them.
Magic.
So that's the reason. That's the reason why we must elect the right kind of person to take charge, because we cannot afford any excuses right now. We cannot, afford any delays. We cannot afford the kind of thing that happened when Buhari first of all came in, when he spent 6 months searching for ministers. We must have someone who hits the ground running, who in less than a week can submit his list of ministers. Someone who truly has an understanding of what the problems are and has a personal input as to what should happen.
Yes.
Because one of the things about leadership is if you have to listen, if you have to wait for consultants, if you have to wait all the time for every little thing, it then means that you're going to be drawn in several directions at all times, and it will be difficult for you to sift out of those options to make. But if you have a direction that you had purposed, that you had planned, then it's easier to say, yeah, I agree that you have a point there, but you see, this is where I intend to go. This is so the leader that must come now must be armed, must be ready, must be willing to take very drastic decisions where necessary. I mean, far-reaching decisions, the kind of decisions that are not the commonplace decisions. He must be ready to fire some people. I mean, if they are constituting themselves into obstacles to our progress. And so these are some of the things that the new president, the new leadership must have in their minds as they come. Because in the next 6 months to 1 year, there should be clear difference. We should move away from whatever smells of this government. We should move away in several areas.
The past situation in Nigeria has never been so bad.
And meanwhile, that was one of the major promises when they were in the campaign.
Yes, you don't get lights at the stretch for more than 2 hours.
Imagine that. And that's widespread. In fact, there are places where they don't even have. Exactly.
Saturday, there was
no light. You can imagine. So how do you expect?
And yesterday, they just brought it for about
even
2 hours,
basic welfare, even basic welfare. Imagine that people have food in their refrigerators that will go waste, that will go rotten. So these are the things any person coming now. And again, I think that Nigerians also have to wake up and really take whatever leadership to task. It's not a time to go back to sleep and say we have elected somebody.
Yes, but the problem is in our electoral system. For instance, somebody comes in, he makes all manner of promises. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. He gets there and he's not doing what he promised to do. What can you do for him? Well, the masses cannot do anything.
Yeah, that's true, because even the impeachment process is very difficult.
They work in cahoots now.
And then they work together, so it's very difficult to. But I still say that it's our fault as the people. We will get to the point, and I remember saying this on a TV station, we'll get to the point when we begin to picket our leaders. Let me tell you, if you picket your House of Representatives member, if you picket the senator, and it is consistent, and you have articulate, you have a set of people who can articulate your views, and who can articulate your desires and your needs and your demands, and it is consistent. At a point, that senator will be forced to go meet the governor and say, look, maybe these people have not gotten to you, but you probably have seen it in the newspapers. They are not allowing us to rest. Because as they are doing it to the Akoko Edo House of Reps member, they are doing it to the Orion person, they are doing it to the Oredo person, they are doing it to the Ikeja local Ikeja area, they are doing it in Mafuluku, they are doing it everywhere. If that happens consistently, I mean, these people, they are human beings. They'll sit up. But when Nigerians have to be paid to do protests, then there's what kind of protest is that? What kind of protest is that? When they have to be paid to come air their views, to come marshal their points, when they have to be paid to and they pay you the kind of money that makes nonsense of your entire life. I mean, they pay you 5,000 or pay you 3,000 for you to come and march, and then the essence is lost. The essence is lost. But when the protests come, I mean, just like that, just like what we saw in 2020, the NSAS thing. That's the kind of thing. Everybody knew that something was happening. Just like that. Just like that. And then it was just catching on. And then it was just catching on.
With, and people, what we call the Arab Spring.
Exactly. And then you saw people saying they thought they knew by themselves, this thing will need food. And some people will bring food. And some people will bring this. And some people will bring that. Cook for themselves. You can imagine that if the hoodlums had not been introduced.
Yes.
You can imagine how successful.
Yes, they saw it that it could actually
it could turn things around. Now, so I'm saying that until Nigerians, I'm not advocating for violence, but the truth is that we're entitled, even under the law, to to carry out protests, peaceful protests. So, but if you have now to be told that, I mean, if you have a problem and somebody has to come and explain your problem to, then you don't have a problem. In certain courses in sociology, they tell you if you can still cope with the problem, then it's not a problem. It's not a problem. I mean, when you talk about social problems, if you can still manage and you say, well, we trust God, then it's not a problem. It's not a problem. When it becomes a problem, you will stand up and deal with it. And so I think that part of it is, I think we're getting gradually to the point where Nigerians will stand up. You know why? The hardship is getting worse. The hardship is getting, in those days, if you didn't have any money, you could call your auntie, you could call Auntie Winnie. Mona call Auntie Winnie, go send her. Now the Auntie Winnie also needs to call somebody. Yes. And the person that Auntie Winnie is calling doesn't even have. so when everywhere is squeezed tight, and you have no place to fall back on, we'll begin to now say, because you see, what do they say? When you drive the animal to the wall, what does it do? When you are pushed to do, it will fight back. So we are getting gradually to that point. Nigerians are generally very long suffering. Yes, they are very patient.
Remember the Transparency International report that came that Nigerians are the most happiest people
in the world. No matter what it is, they have a way of managing. They have a way. So, but I'm saying the reason is that there are still some small spaces.
However, and Nigerians are
part of it is as they lock up this cash thing, and people who used to have free money will not have those kind of free monies to dole out and to be big boy and do all those things. The thing is where the stage is getting set. The stage is getting set to the point where one day,
because
all the extra cash will no longer be
there. You are entitled to just 500,000
in a week.
And then you think about where will you now have this money to be doing?
You won't spend that way.
Big men that can actually catch their 500. It won't be enough for them.
So the stage is being set, and at a certain point, when it gets to the tipping point, Nigerians will react. That's the truth. Because I do not understand why you need a civil society organization to come explain to you. I see this problem. So Mokuna follow us, we go protest, and we go give you because of your time, because of this, we'll give you now 5,000. We'll go give you now Coke a month. It's crass. I don't want to use that word here because it doesn't make sense. That's why the things are not effective, and that's the reason. As you are protesting and saying we no go agree, another group is got again and say we agree. We agree with you live long. Exactly. So because all that is involved is cash. There is nothing from deep down inside of the people to say, look, we are tired of this. When we get to that point, things will change. And I see us getting to that point very soon.
It's really crazy because it's a whole gamut of issues that the new administration will have to tackle, because we saw in the almost 8 years now, during the onset of the current administration, they did say they were going to build a refinery for each term, 4-year term, and nothing like that. I think that's
and then they were going to give us 20,000 megawatts of power.
Exacerbated this fuel crisis, a situation whereby if our refineries were actually working,
we won't have this situation. We won't have this situation.
And IPMAN and other independent marketers, they are saying that fuel, if it's fully deregulated, Nigeria will be buying fuel at 800 naira per liter.
Imagine 800 naira. That's 1,000 already. 1,000 naira.
Inflationary.
But and of course, it will reflect on restaurants. It will reflect on everything, transportation, everything, food. Everything. So that's why I'm saying whoever is going to take over. That's why we need not to play with our own destiny. Intentions, but at the end of the day, they get exactly. Somebody did say that it's like they get bewitched, and that's what is it Ruben Abati came out to say something about the villa, that when you get there you have good intentions, but when you get there you get sucked in, you just lose your sense of values and everything. I can see several persons like that in this particular government who will come back and tell us again, like Abati, that their phones are no longer ringing. Some of them have sold their consciences. They have made all kinds of statements on behalf of the presidency. The kind of things you would not expect them to say. Somebody saying, is it not better for you to abandon your land so that you can at least save your life? All kinds of things. Very soon, the chickens will come home to roost. So we're saying, whoever is going to take over, don't make promises that you cannot fulfill. I think that's the beginning of failure, first of all.
But something
Don't
that
make
all of them,
grandiose promises.
all of them have said that they have not wavered is this issue of a fuel subsidy. They did say that they are going to remove it.
If you remove
Even the APC presidential candidate say, I'm going to remove it. You can protest all you want.
exactly, but again,
And
there
I've
must
heard
be
it
some
from
cushioning,
other two.
because
Peter Obi
indeed,
and
if you
co.
bring it to 800, first of all, our money will be made a lot more useless again, because that means 1,000 naira for a liter. Now, spread that. If you get economists to come and do some work on that, you'll find out that life will become totally unbearable.
It's
for
going
people.
to be bad. One thing hopeful is that the Nigerians have been expecting the Dangote refinery to come up.
I don't know why. I don't know why
that we'll
that,
be able to cushion.
I don't know why
the
that hardly
effects.
gives me any comfort. I don't know why it hardly gives me any comfort, because you
Why
see,
is that?
why the Dangote refinery, that's a private businessman who wants to make money.
Yes.
He's not doing it to make you
help
feel
you.
good or to make you. That's not his business. He's in business to make money, and so I do not see how that is going to help us. It might help us that a little more fuel is available, but that's not what it ought to be. When we have our refineries, if Dangote can build his refinery in the last how many years,
Yes.
why would government, almighty
But
federal
with-
government,
exactly.
be unable to fix
All the resources
the
at
refineries that
disposal.
are in existence already? Why? I think people are not asking the right questions. I think we're not angry enough. And I'm not talking about
But
violence, but we need to get angry
PDP
and really push these
Yes.
issues.
PDP presidential candidate Atiku has been saying that Abubakar has been saying that he will want to privatize the refinery when it comes on board, and some Nigerians are playing for that. But don't you think it's the best bet under the circumstances?
See, I think that it's good to privatize because usually private owners, private business people run a lot of businesses far
to
better
make
than
profit,
government.
exactly.
They will make profit. They will ensure that the business is running.
You can
and
imagine
all
the
that.
federal government has been paying the staff of these refineries for long, humongous amount of
Exactly,
money.
and they are not
not
producing
refining
anything.
any single product.
Nothing.
Yet they will even still go on leave. They will pay them their
Every
entitlements.
allowance,
And, I mean,
all
it's
kinds of
absurd. It's absurd.
entitlements. It
Would a
doesn't make
private
sense.
businessman do
Nobody
that?
will do that. Good. But you see, we cannot be privatizing everything. Somebody once recommended during the height of the ASU crisis that why don't we privatize the universities? The truth is that if you privatize, and you see many times it looks as if that's the hidden agenda many times when they make sure that public institutions don't work. Now, because they can afford to buy up those institutions
They use their
once they
use their
proxies to buy. They can buy them up if they are privatized, so that they can make a lot more money. But shouldn't we at least have services that Nigerians enjoy because they are Nigerians, that are subsidized, that remain within the reach of everybody?
Yes.
These days, I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, education is very cheap in Nigeria." Everything is very cheap in Nigeria, except that our lives have also been cheapened. Yes, everything is so cheap that our lives have become too cheap.
Yes. Life has become so brutish.
So I think that we need when people analyze issues and want to just face one way, it does not make sense to me, and I'm sure it does not make sense to millions of Nigerians. You cannot say privatize everything. I mean, people are already, as it is, people are having issues even going to school.
Yes, we have
even with public universities.
20 million out of school
children are unable to go to school.
They are unable to go to school. They are not
to afford the basic whatever amount that public schools require.
What this portends for the future.
Exactly. So if you privatize, so I think that we should take it easy about privatizing when there are no safety nets for people. There are no safety nets for the vulnerable. There are no safety nets for the poor, for the downtrodden, for the low class of society.
Yes.
And right now, you and I agree that there's no longer the middle class.
Yes,
so if you're thinking of safety
just
net,
like what you said,
you should extend it
what
a whole lot.
you said about safety net in the developed countries, they make money, even food available for the poor.
Exactly.
They do.
I mean, almost free
They
or
put you
on welfare at least. There's no such thing here.
I have cousins that actually one of them declared for how do you call it? Somebody that is has a physically challenged.
Okay, physical disability.
just because he just lives, so
Okay.
he works is okay, and they are paying her.
That's
She
it.
receives welfare.
Good.
One of the developed countries.
There are a whole lot of. You'll find out that maybe some classes of citizens enjoy near free health services.
Yes.
I mean,
know
those are the
people
kind
that
of
just
things.
went- people that were just born there,
But
they go
you
back.
want to privatize everything. Everybody pays the same amount.
Mm.
Everybody must go and hustle and get. But that's the thing that also fuels corruption, because somebody wants to get the money anyhow.
Even in developed countries too, they give you free meals too.
There are free meals.
There are free meals.
There, I
They
mean,
give you coupon.
people
Just
who
go and eat.
who have little children have milk supply. All those kind of things. Do you have them here? No.
Yes.
So we can't continue
So
to talk
it's really a whole lot.
privatization,
It's-
everything.
It's whole lot. And my fear is all are contenders. How serious are they?
Well, if you ask me, and I
But
at
it's
the
a
beginning,
whole lot, as you can see, turn around Nigeria's economy needs
at the
now.
beginning, I didn't really have any issues with most other candidates. At the beginning, I have had to move from personally, and I'm talking personally, I've had to move from Atiku and then say, look, from the very beginning, I say clearly two things concerning APC. I have no issues with the flag bearer, unlike most people who say, oh, it's not in good health. If it's not in good health, if his situation was that bad, he's still in charge in Lagos. He still pulls the strings. Nobody becomes governor in that place without him. So I believe that he still has what it takes to manage people and to assemble a proper team. But my problem is that you cannot bring in APC again right after this massive failure. It doesn't speak well of us as human beings. It doesn't speak well of us as people who have, brilliant people, articulate, solid minds and faculties, that you bring in a party that just failed and you ask party, please continue. Are we enjoying the failure? Then, so finally, I think I begin to gravitate towards Peter Obi, because it sounds to me as fresh. It sounds to me as the kind of person who has the good, the will to make the right kind of changes.
Yes.
But of course, we must put the caveat. Anybody who takes over now is not going to perform. It's not magic.
It's not going to.
It's not magic. You will need at least the first 12 to 18 months before you begin to see some changes. Because
If
things
not
are
2
really,
years, you can just wait 2
maybe
years.
24 months.
Even El-Rufai said 3 years.
Good. So,
Things are still going to.
but you see, if you put in somebody who does not understand what the challenge, the problems are, somebody who is not aware, if you put in such a person,
I got your
then there would be a problem.
I got your drift.
Exactly,
So you
because
said somebody who is not
If you want
aware.
results in 2 years, you must
I
start
got
doing
your
something
drift.
now.
I got your drift. It's always a pleasure to have you around there.
Thank you very much, Winnie. And
You're my Monday guest, so I look
Alright.
forward to having you tomorrow. And don't forget tomorrow's leadership conference and award ceremony.
by the
I
grace
hope
of
to see
God,
you
that should be there.
So
Thank you.
viewers, you've heard it. This is where we call it a day on
Thank you
today's
for listening
Inside
and
Nigeria. Look
watching,
forward to
viewers.
hosting you same time, same station tomorrow. I remember Winifred Webo. See you.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.